Hello and welcome to your yin practice. A shorter practice should be about half an hour, I'd say, about 30 minutes, and it's really going to address all areas of the body. We also hold the postures for a little bit less time, so about 3 minutes each. And we'll start with wide knee child's pose. So you could be at the back of your mat. So the sequence will unravel from there. I'll be facing you for the moment. As you come to wide knee child's pose, just know that today I'm going to just do no variations in it. I'm going to come straight forward. But for you, know that there's quite a few options here that you could do for your upper body to include some other elements. So just aware of that and making your own choice. You could be doing a twist, threading one hand under. So that could be one option. You could be doing a side bend where you stretch your arms to one side and then the opposite side. And then we have the upper body crushed wings variation where you thread the hands, cross them underneath and resting the forehead down on a ground or on a block. So see what works for you today. As I said, I'm just going to do a simple variation just walking the hands straight forward. Option would also be to use a bolster if you have one, if you feel like you need a little bit more support. I'm going to keep the time, so if you're doing a variation where you need to switch and change sides, then I will give you a little prompt when to do that. So settling in, letting the gravity really pull down the bones. Begin to relax the outer layers of the body, the muscles, as much as possible. Giving your body weight to the ground. Notice your breath as it moves through that interior space and see if you can just leave it alone for a moment. Just notice it. Become aware of sensation of breath. Letting the hips get heavy, the thigh bones heavy. And if you're doing a one-sided posture where you need to do the opposite side, take your time to change the sides. Any discomfort in the knees, begin by seeing if just putting some padding underneath them will help. And if you need to modify, so no pain. Gradually settling for an abdominal breath. Consciously guiding that breath in such a way that you feel your abdomen gently ballooning outwards on the inhale. Diaphragm pushing down, and then on the exhale, navel moves back. That's when the diaphragm moves up, squeezing air out of the lungs. Take a few rounds here to also feel the back line of the body, to guide the breath to the back of the lungs. And then 2 more breaths. See if a little bit more softness can be found in the shoulders and in the jaw. And then begin to walk your hands back up towards your knees, and one knee at a time. Bring your thighs closer. Transition to all fours, and just very small movement of circling. So starting quite close to your center, letting the hips are circling over the knees and the shoulders are circling over the wrists. Feel free to make it your own. Maybe there's a cat and cow that wants to come. Just a little bit of movement. And then we'll come to dragons. I'm going to bring the right foot forward to the top of the mat. You might want to pad that left knee if you have an extra blanket for that. With dragons, really feel free again to make it your own. So our lunges, you could move here a bit. You could let that left hip kind of move as you feel into the front of that left hip, the different areas of it. You could also hold it more steady. So begin to explore that area around the hips here. I'll run you through some variations. If you know what works for you, just go into it right away. So we have the one where you could hold the hands on either side, maybe on blocks. There's a dragon where you could come a little bit higher up. And there's a dragon where the hands are on the inside, right foot a little bit out towards the right, either with palms down or forearms down or using some support. And then there's variations what that right leg does. It could drop out a bit, so you get some sensation also in the right buttock and outer thigh. So as I said, either find stillness or keep exploring through small movements, circling. About 30 more seconds, still kind of trying to tap into that release as we let the gravity draw the bones down. Dragons can be quite fiery, the most young of the postures. If breath wants to go out through the mouth, if sound wants to come, then really let it. I'm going to use my last 5 breaths here to turn into a twist. So taking that right hand onto that right thigh and curling away from the ground. You can do what you want. Beautiful. As we begin to travel out, you have choice where you take this rebound. You could come to child's pose. You could stay on all fours and bring some movement in again. Or tune in. Maybe a little bit of yang, like a downward facing dog, can often feel quite good after the dragons. So your choice. Keep feeling into the sensations. Know that a little bit of intensity can linger after we come out of the pose, so there's no need for alarm. Give your body some time. Give it movement, give it stillness. You could also be lying on the belly. See if you can let your body guide you. So begin to listen. Pay attention. Discerning the narrative and voice that comes more from the head, thought-centered place, to most likely a more subtler guidance that comes from the body. And then we'll set up the dragon for the opposite side with left foot coming forward. It's the same principle. I'm going to really encourage you to explore. Can you sense exploring different from fidgeting? Curiosity versus restlessness. So here, really changing in your own time. Taking that agency, taking that responsibility. As you keep listening, tuning in. And again, the last 5 breaths or so, I'll turn it into a twist. So you can join me or do whatever you did on the opposite side. So this time, left palm comes onto that left thigh, and I rotate left shoulder up towards the ceiling, letting that right hip drop down towards the ground. If you need to come out earlier, you come out earlier, find your rebound. Perfect, and then let's settle once more. Your choice of release. Take it into stillness, take it into small movement, take it towards downward facing dog. Let's give it a moment. Stay connected, keep feeling into the sensations, the felt sense. Notice it changing. And we'll meet on all fours, and we'll include an upper body posture coming into Anahata asana. So the palms, the hands are gonna stretch forward, the bum stays on top of the knees, letting the forehead come down. Here also you could have variations of side bend, so you could also walking the hands over to one side or the other side. You could do one hand at a time, right hand forward. Again, I'm going to keep it simple right now, and we don't stay here for as long, so giving it another minute and a half here. I'm letting my forearms and the elbows rest on the ground. You can really play with how wide your arms are so you feel that your shoulders can relax. There's a little pulling sensation there through the armpit and to the sides of the body as the heart softens and melts down towards the ground. Gentle stretch through the arms. We're bringing focus to our heart and lung meridians. And also small intestine, large intestine meridian lines are running through the arms. And then another breath here. I'll slide my elbows, my forearms slightly back so my shoulders are releasing, but then I'm bringing my body weight forward and then taking the whole front line of the body onto the ground. If you need a little break here, again, to release the shoulders, lie on the belly for a bit. I feel up to right away transitioning into a Sphinx pose. So forearms on the ground, elbows slightly forward from the shoulders. If you feel it too much in the lower back, just bring your elbows even more forward. And the variations from here would be, first of all, to just see if you want to hold your head more neutral, if you want to drop it, or if you want to use a block under your forehead. You can play with the width of the legs. They can be closer, they can be wider. We're targeting, as I said, the lower back area here. So a mild sensation of maybe a pressure, we call it compression there. But really, again, such where you can relax. Variations from here would be to bend the knees and to notice what that does to the lower back. So if at any stage you want to try that, I'm again encouraging you to take these variations in your own time. Finally, we have the backbend variation of seal pose, where we bring the palms down and straighten the elbows. You can play with palms closer, palms further away. That's quite a steep back bend. So again, in your own time, explore or stay as you are. Notice where the mind goes out of habit. And then see if when we can begin to build this pattern of coming back to the body, to the felt sense of dropping away from the usual preoccupation with thought, finding aliveness by staying connected to each moment through the body. We have about a minute left. Perfect. And then again, slowly taking rest, this time rest on the belly for a bit. Either turn your one cheek down or forehead, resting on the hands. Just give it a moment where everything just sinks and drops. Again, there might be some stronger sensations lingering in the lower back area. Notice. Take a deeper breath into the belly. Feel that passageway forward is restricted by the ground, so the breath automatically moves to the lower back. It's a sensation as if your kidneys are taking a breath in. And then on the exhale, you could imagine that vital energy from the kidneys traveling throughout the body, energizing. And then let us either press back to child's pose for a little bit more stillness, or come to all fours and begin to again include a bit of movement. Maybe now, rather than circling, you find that up and down movement of cat and cow. And then if you are in child's pose, join us on all fours for a moment. And we'll take, the toes are going to tuck under. We'll take our tangling. So I'm going to press hands down, press the hips back and up, and then walk the hands back so the soles of the feet can be on the mat. I'll again change my position a bit, but you can stay where you are. You can take your feet wider, you can bend your knees generously. Again, I have my morning body quite tight, so my knees are super bent as I hang the head forward. If for any reason the forward fold like this, tangling, is not working for your spine, you could come to squatting pose, so you take your feet wider and you sit between your heels. So we'll stay in the tangling for about a minute longer. Here you can include some little swaying movement, little bouncy movement, or just being still and feeling now the reverse effect of gravity for the spine, decompressing the discs between the spine, feeling the head heavy, and really resist any temptation to kind of look forward and tense the neck. So feel the back of the neck long. Often here I feel like breathing out through the mouth,
Consciously relax the jaw. Beautiful. Another 3 breaths. And then we'll all move to squat pose as a transition. So you're going to walk your feet wider and sit between your heels. We're not going to stay long. So if your heels are lifting off the ground, then just for a few moments here. And maybe next time when you practice, you just want to stay in the squat instead of a dangling. So that could be one modification that you can take. Then bringing the hands behind your back. And lastly, coming either into a forward fold, basically of your choice. So I want to come into a butterfly, as I want to feel into the outer thighs and let the spine round. But if you want to work with the back of the legs, we haven't done much for that, then you could have your legs come forward and come to what we call a caterpillar pose. Another symmetrical forward fold is a wide-legged forward fold. We call this the dragonfly. So I let you choose. You could also take your legs up against the wall, Viparita Karani. A few choices here. And then as we settle in, you find what props you need. Early in the morning, I often support my forehead, at least in the first minutes of the posture, but you don't have to, so it's a preference of mine. Over the exploring different ways, noticing how I also feel after coming out of the poses. This is what I've discovered that works for my body. But most importantly, let's return. Let's return the attention. Let's soften and relax. As much as possible again. This pausing, surrendering to gravity. Slowing everything down and paying attention what arises in this inner space, in the mind screen, in the field of the body. Cultivating qualities such as patience, 3 breaths. Slowly pushing the ground away as you rise. Pausing at the top for a moment, feeling the back line of the body, beginning to release whatever posture you took, and then lying onto your back. And for me, that would be the end of the practice. But again, just tune in as you lie on the back. Let's take a moment in rebound, and that rebound from the posture can then just spill over into your final shavasana and relaxation on the back. But if you feel that there's another posture, often people want to finish with a twist, then finish in your own time. So I'm going to settle here. I'm going to also thank you and say goodbye here. And so you can take and finish the practice in a way that works for you. So thank you so much. Namaste.